So we are moving on to our second episode for the day. It's going to be a panel discussion. Moderator, Ms. Blessy, and she is the Vice President and Head of Digital Marketing and Branding, Discover Hospitality, hospitality leader and APAC travel speaker with nearly 2 decades of experience in digital marketing and a successful portfolio in search engine optimization, PPC, email marketing, social media marketing, e-commerce, and online reputation management as well. Professor for a day at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University School of Hotel and Tourism Management with master's degree in advertising. Welcome, Ms. Blessy. And I also welcome all the panelists here. We have Mr. Tshepo Charles Matlow, Head of Marketing and Communication, Jurni, South Africa. He heads the marketing and communications for Jurni in South Africa. He graduated with a master's in leadership and management, diploma in marketing, digital marketing, management, and advanced program and advanced public management development program amongst the other qualifications. He is an internationally accredited executive coach. Welcome, sir. We also welcome Mr. Jonas Hagstromer, Theodorsson, co-owner, business developer, global e-commerce Keywordio. He is a frequent speaker at Google, Stockholm School of Economics, and IHM Business School on topics related to growth for global e-commerce companies. He joined Keywordio because he loves working with extraordinary e-commerce clients in a global environment where the combination of digital talent and AI is the only way to beat the competition. Welcome, Jonas. I also welcome Ms. Alicia Snaxa, Community Manager, MVP Match. Alicia is always analyzing schemes and patterns around her. She started her career in a startup, then worked for Microsoft, later gained experience running marketing in smaller IT companies. Passion to communities resulted in opening an NGO aiming at promoting co-living and co-housing. So I welcome all the panelists and the moderator. Welcome you all. Hi. So over to you, Ms. Blessy.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the day 3 of the 4th Global Digital Marketing Summit. Our topic for today is on how the pandemic affected both the businesses and the consumers. To be more specific, who were we in 2020? Exploring the differences in our physical and digital lives. We're lucky to have experts from the travel and tech companies, primarily B2B. It would be very interesting to know varying insights based on their respective industries and also in the context of B2C consumers for the benefit of our industry colleagues who are looking to improve their business performance. So first off, it's a sad reality for all of us across the world that the pandemic did not come with a playbook. So how did you and your company deal with it at the onset? And what would you have done differently looking back? Let's start with Charles.
Thank you very much, Blessy, and good afternoon to everyone. So we run a company based in South Africa called GDMS South Africa. And unfortunately, when this pandemic hit us, we were in the middle of finalizing and launching our online platform. And unfortunately, we had everyone working in the office and we're not ready. We didn't know immediately whether to send people to work from home or whether we can still be able to track their productivity or performance while they're working from home. And we immediately needed to come up with a plan. And because we're anxious, we were about to launch an online platform to allow travelers all over the world to come to South Africa. Now the pandemic stops people from coming to the country, but also the domestic market could not travel. And immediately we had to realize that one, we're going to lose revenue. We're not going to be able to become profitable as planned. And we had to look at how do we cut down? How do we still ensure that we improve? However, we decided to see it as an opportunity. And we started doing some research online with travelers. We did research with product owners, accommodation owners, attractions, And we're like, hey, so what are you going to do after the lockdown? How are you going to position yourself? What sort of technology are you looking at using? So we decided to spin it around and look at how we can actually improve what we were developing already so that we can get ready in the market. What is it that we could have done differently? I think we should have planned this from the beginning. It's been over a year in South Africa since we've been in lockdown, on and off. And what we are learning is we could have empowered our employees to actually work from home. That's the first thing. They have access to Wi-Fi. They have access to laptops that we have provided for them. And where we are right now, we are comfortable that we are becoming more and more productive with them not sitting in the office. We don't have to pay a high rental fees for offices because they are comfortable and we can connect with them every week.
Thank you, Charles. How about you, Jonas? Can you tell us about the challenges that you face?
Yeah, and I think I specifically remember, I don't know exactly the date, but I remember a call I had really early on with my co-owner. And of course, we worked really close with Google, and we heard that there were rumors within Google that they were going to sort of close down every office globally. And I think for us, we have offices in India, in Ireland, in Stockholm, in Sweden. And for us, like I live in Sweden, for me, it was really hard to really understand the scale of this from the beginning and also understand the speed of it. So we were definitely way too slow in terms of reacting. I'm really grateful because I have I'm born in Sweden and we have a lot of great safety nets taken care of. But for our team that are placed in India, it's the situation is completely different, right? And it's really tough. Looking at our customers, we work with e-commerce companies all over the world, from US to India to Europe. And I remember speaking to one amazing entrepreneur in Scandinavia that they sell diamond rings, typically for weddings. And of course, all weddings were of course postponed and canceled, right? So he faced some really big challenges for his business. And one thing that I'm very proud of that we took actions on really fast was keeping a close contact with all our customers and making sure that we are flexible enough, because if our customers are not successful, then of course we need to find a way to sort of help them. And yeah, if they don't sell anything online, well, they cannot spend on Google Ads and on Facebook on that moment. So I think we did a lot of good stuff, but we should definitely have been faster and being more aware of what was actually happening globally. That's the key thing I take away when I look at from the last year.
Thanks so much, Jonas. Hi, Alicia. How was it for you and your company?
Hi everyone. As you mentioned, I'm working at MVP Match now. So it's been a new thing for me, just a couple of weeks. But when the pandemic hit, I was actually at Maritime Cloud, which is a UK-based tech company. It's basically B2B company consulting. And at the beginning of the pandemic, it was pretty easy and smooth because the companies still didn't know what to do about it. So they kept their contracts going on. And, everything, the very first few months were like nothing has changed. But gradually, when the situation was developing and we could see that it's not going to, come back to normal anytime soon, the company started to make the cuts and changes. So we've lost a couple of contracts and we were, on the verge of like really having to get the new ones to survive as a company. Then the whole marketing efforts of getting new clients and doing a lot of outbound campaigns, doing like a little bit of inbound campaigns as well to basically just, get new clients were really crucial. And finally, like the company survived. We were able to do that. But definitely the learning for me was because I was also like there for not that long time. that, before that, the company just like relied on having a few clients and then didn't really pay that much attention to branding, to marketing, to actually building a brand. And I feel like that's why it was very hard for them to keep up and to get new customers when they were actually needed, when the situation changed. So I think, the thing I learned, and I think like we all learned at Maritime Cloud at that point, is that you cannot wait to build your brand. It's something that should be on point every day, all the time.
Thank you, Alicia. To those who have just tuned in, please feel free to type in your questions for our panelists, and I'll do my best to read all of them. Now, moving forward to our panelists, can you share with us the key pandemic trends that you observed amongst your target markets, lifestyle and behavior-wise? Let's start with Jonas this time.
So we love data, right? So we have access to a lot of data. Just by, for example, last year we did more than 93 million changes on our customers' ads account to make sure that we optimize. So we have a lot of insights from that. But in terms of the key general insights is that, of course, for the ones within e-commerce and travel, of course, that market was super tough and it was extreme. Then look at the other hand, for example, groceries and stuff like that. That was extreme in the other trajectory. But one thing that we have seen is that I believe is here to stay is that when people search for products online, they tend to look more into quality and best in class than just go for price. That is actually something we can see if you look at Google's data. You can go in and look yourself with Google Trend to see that most people actually search with best in front of the product that they are searching for. And if you're going to buy fewer things, then it's more important that you really buy the best things. So that is something we have seen a lot. And this is not only in Europe, it's also in US that this is really clear, that this stands out. That is definitely here to stay with increased volumes when it comes to purchasing online. Of course, foot traffic is still very low in retail store in most locations. We see now Sweden is one of the countries in the world that has been most opened up. Even in Sweden, we see that the foot traffic is really low in retail, and I expect that to actually stay lower for quite some while. So those are the key things that we see when we look at the huge data set that we have access to.
Thank you, Jonas. Tell us about your insights or observations, Alicia.
So my biggest insight is with the job market and with the people so used to getting to remote work that they don't want to go back to the office, and the rising availability of freelancing jobs. And that's something that actually the current company that I work with is doing. So basically finding jobs for freelancers within corporations for specific projects and not just full-time jobs. So I do believe that the model of the work that we used to have is changing, and people now are like, no, they've experienced that working remotely is just as effective, if not more effective, and you can still do it. And it has all of the other benefits of, working from wherever you want, or spending time with your family, not losing time and getting to work in a transit. So I think that's the biggest thing that I think for me stands out, is that we now completely changed the model of work for many, many industries. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles, can you tell us, how is it in the context of the tourism industry? Because, as you know, we're both in the travel industry.
I think the reality is, even before the pandemic, we're starting to see a lot of young people who are travelers going online. And unfortunately, when the pandemic hit us, it has pushed a lot of even the traditional market that we are used to, even the tour operators are starting to spend more and more time online. The travelers in our country, in Africa, and globally are starting to look for unique experiences. They're starting to look for, when I travel into your country, what is it that is so unique that pushes me and brings me to come to your country? Secondly, they're looking at 360-degree type of videos where they can be able to see the whole property. Are there any activities around the property? Are there any beaches? Are there any attractions? Are there any experiences that people can have? So people are becoming more and more, they have developed more of expectations than before. Normally you would travel in the country looking at the big fives or the big five attractions to do in the country. But now people are starting to look for authentic things. They're looking for hidden things. They're looking at investing the little time that they have to travel to be able to get information quickly online. So it's more about real time. Can I go online, search to travel to India and be able to find the right information that I'm looking for as a traveler and be able to be converted? I mean, how many websites are out there whereby you can actually search accommodation or a place of interest and it just gives you information? People are not looking for information anymore. They're looking for opportunities to transact. And we're seeing more and more small businesses losing business because they cannot transact. And I'll talk about that later on.
Thank you. I can definitely relate to that. Now, digital is the new normal, and digital consumption during the pandemic skyrocketed. It was actually 3 times higher than what was projected. So nobody can deny the importance of, digital in the touch points, across the customer journey. Now, one of the upside of the pandemic is the accelerated growth in e-commerce. Just to share, in the Asia Pacific region, especially in the Philippines, we used to lag behind due to low credit card penetration. But we're now in the top 5 in terms of active e-commerce penetration in the region. Pre-pandemic, 70% of payments were made using cash. Now, carrying less cash is a trend even in other Southeast Asian countries. So 7 out of 10 Filipinos are now using more contactless payments, and we're also seeing more first-time e-commerce users. So that being said, the pandemic has accelerated the trajectory of e-commerce and digital technology because of the safety and conveniences that come with them. Is it the same in your region, Alicia?
Yes, definitely. Poland has this, because I'm from Poland. I'm currently in Mexico, but I live in Poland, so that's the market I can talk more about. Is that we were happy to when the contactless payments were introduced. A lot of Polish companies didn't have any kind of card payments forms. So it's very common, for past 5-10 years, it's very common for Polish companies to have actually the contactless payments and all kinds of payments. So with pandemic, it was just more of a trend. It was even, I feel it's very normal. In every major city, there are often problems that you cannot pay cash. There are places where they don't even accept cash anymore. So this digital money trend is definitely a thing. Whereas in Mexico, where I'm at now, only the fancier places have the ability to pay card, not even contactless, just card, and you still need to carry cash everywhere, really.
Thank you. Jonas, is it the same in your industry?
I would say it is. But if I take one of the markets that we spend a lot of time in, it's in India, and it has been for example, if you buy something online, cash on delivery is something that has been used. Of course, now we see that always with e-commerce, it's very important that you have the local logistics set up, you have the local payments, and that your site really feels trusted. That is something that doesn't matter what market you go into, you just need to be expected to feel like a local, because otherwise you will lose a lot of business online. But for example, for the last year, I've been talking to maybe 1 or 2 e-commerce entrepreneurs in India every day. And the big trend I see there is that Amazon and Flipkart, the marketplaces, has been key for a long time for this direct to consumer brands. But now they start to see that just keep buying back their customer over and over again is something that is just killing their businesses. And if you watched the earlier speech about loyalty and how to make sure that you get the customer to come back and actually don't pay for them again, that is a big trend that we see, that small e-commerce needs to shift from only being on the marketplaces to actually build up their own customer base so they can speak directly to them and get them to come back. That is a key thing. And of course, that's great for every market, but that is very important as I see.
Very interesting. Thanks, Jonas. Charles, do you have the same experiences?
Yes, I think similar to what Jonas was saying, in South Africa right now, we are starting to see a shift from the tradition of carrying cash around and to seeing people transacting online. And this is something that I'm very passionate about because we have seen over the years the struggle of people getting robbed while they have cash on hand and they are not able to be able to transact. So this is an opportunity where we can say, hey, by the way, we're also feeling more and more safe because the product owners can now receive money online. Even those even people that are old and that are running businesses and don't have much knowledge about technology, we are seeing them being able to use and participate in the e-commerce space because all they need is a mobile phone. I have a saying that says, if you can use WhatsApp on your phone, then it means you can be able to transact and be able to receive, because they are not the ones transacting, they are just receiving the money. And we have seen a lot of companies that are developing e-commerce for small businesses, the art galleries, the art creators, the attractions and the experiences are starting to have QR codes, whereby if you want to go on an experience, you are able to get there with your phone, you scan a QR code, you make a payment. There is no touch in terms of money. So I see that the move into e-commerce being a great opportunity that came with the unfortunate of the pandemic.
So true. Thanks for that. Now, I have a question that I would like to direct to Jonas and Alicia, because everyone knows the importance of safety assurance in the travel industry. Well, in e-commerce, how is safety shaping the offline and online lifestyle of the consumers or your target audiences?
Yeah, I can start. Sure. I think if you look at, I think it's always interesting to look at some of the biggest e-commerce stores in the world to see like what they are testing out. So, for example, if you go into Apple today, you will probably see in terms of safety and touchless. So the delivery is really clearly stated that it's like curbside delivery, like touchless delivery. So I think like when you see Apple, Nike, and the biggest companies like really being clear about the no touch delivery and really I think that is that is something that of course they have seen in the data that is something that people want, right? So I think that is one of the things that I've seen, and this is just for a couple of months ago that they just started doing this, for example.
Thank you. Alicia?
And from my perspective, I don't work with e-commerce directly. What I'm saying usually is that I work with people, and I feel like safety is important on a very basic human level. You know, like when you have like basic hierarchy of needs, like what you need in order to get somewhere. So basically, like safety need is like a very bottom. So if we want our clients or people to engage with us and like give us something, whether it's money as a purchase or even their engagement, like when it comes to community, I feel like we need to give them an assurance of safety, especially in the times that are not that, they're disturbed and, there's like all this danger all around us. I feel like as a brand, we can provide some kind of a safety or like feeling of safety, for instance, by building communities. So building spaces online where people can feel safe, where they can share their emotions, where they can talk about and discuss the subjects they feel that they're pressing them. And once they have a safe space, let's say, online, they are more willing to actually engage and share or purchase something because they feel personally safe. that's my perspective on it.
Thank you. Can you be more specific? Like in your industry, do you see an increase in the number of, let's say, digital nomads or those who are working remotely?
Yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing right now. So I'm trying to build a community of digital nomads and freelancers from all over the world to have them feel, make them feel like they belong to somewhere, to like some network, like they're not just, because I'm a digital nomad myself. So I know it's important to have a place where you can go where people are similar like you, they have similar struggles, they, you know, they have very similar experiences, especially when it comes to work. And that makes me feel, you know, like even though I'm moving constantly, I have a place where I can actually sign up and talk to someone that will actually understand my my problems, which, for instance, my family won't.
Yeah. Do you see the digital nomad somehow going back to the office when, you know, all of this is over?
Definitely not. And this is the trend that I've been talking about. There's also like a lot of trends right now when people just quit their jobs when they're forced to go back to the office, and they just look for a job that will that they will be able to do remotely and online. The whole digital nomads movement is kind of on a pause as well, because I feel like people had to choose one place and kind of commit to it. So, for instance, I was in one community in Madeira island that is kind of lively, and people, when they go there, they stay for a couple of months, because, you know, we're also, digital nomads are also like not allowed to travel that much. So but people still choose to do their own thing, and you know, even with the restrictions that we have, you know, find their way in what's possible to actually, you know, fulfill their dreams and lives. And I feel like it's a really cool movement that I see, that people are actually because of the pandemic, people started asking themselves more about what they really want. And maybe, you know, going 9 to 5 every day to job is not really the perfect solution for them.
Yeah, thanks for confirming that. For Charles, the tourism industry is one of the hardest hit during this pandemic. In the Asia Pacific region, quarantine hotels are the ones that are surviving, while staycation hotels are on again, off again status, depending on the regional regulations and travel restrictions. Is it the same in your region?
Yeah, it is the same. And we have seen even big hotels closing down. We have seen small guest houses and lodges and bed and breakfast closing down. It's been hard. It's been hard for a lot of people who basically live on the hand. So the money comes in, they live for the month or two, and government has been trying its best to really provide funding to support these small businesses. One of the things that we have seen was some of the small businesses did not really comply with some of the funding opportunities because they were not running their businesses properly, which is now starting to activate the need for enterprise and supply development in our area, especially for those that are not known, for those that are not seen, as we start to remove them from big at the back end to the mainstream tourism in our country. It's been a struggle. And now and then, especially now, this period, we are under lockdown again. And there is limited travel, especially to rural areas, to townships, to communities where really tourism had a huge impact in terms of providing jobs and revenues. So the question becomes, how do we start to go back? Which is one of the things that we keep on encouraging in our country is it's high time that our domestic travel grows so that we can be able to give back to our own communities while we wait for the international market to open. And that is why some of the technologies that we are developing at Jurni is to ensure that they're able to use them affordably. Some of the technologies are free because we really want to try and support them. Yeah.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
Because I wanted to share the Madeira's approach to hotels and tourist industry, which I think is what made them survive and thrive in this situation. So basically, what they did, they took to the hotels, the different hotels in this on the island, and they got some kind of governmental agreement to offer the rooms in the hotels for very okay price, I know 4 or 500 euros. I cannot remember exactly right now, but to offer that for this not very high price monthly for digital nomads. So they just started the building the network of people who could actually come and live there and use the hotels so they wouldn't go bankrupt in the hardest of times. So they kind of built the digital hub on their island by just offering good conditions to people that wanted to travel and could stay for longer than a week, that could stay for a month or 3 months or so. So I think that's what definitely helped them survive the hard times in the pandemic.
Thanks for sharing that. Once again, to those who have just tuned in, please feel free to type in your questions for our panelists. Our topic for this session is, who were we in 2020? Exploring differences in their physical and digital lives. For our next question, which among the trends you observed are here to stay in the next normal? And how should brands adopt their marketing or operational strategies moving forward? Let's start with Jonas.
Yeah, thanks. And just like to add just a small reflection on the working space and the office part, because I'm also a big believer on that. We're not going to go back to something that we saw before. And I actually don't see our workspace and offices as workspace. I see them as meeting places. And I believe it's very important for us more than ever to have really strong leadership. And when I say strong leadership, that is people that trust the people that they lead and work really close to them. They give them the chance to actually feel like a digital nomad and be able to give them all the freedom that they can have, and then just joining in on the meeting place when they really would like to solve a big challenge, work on a specific project, or where they just need to have some more social interaction. So that's the way I look at the future and how we both hire and how I would like to see our managers within Keywordio to act. So I think we can learn a lot from digital nomads, and I think we can implement a lot of it within our company as well. But if we go back to your question, can you rephrase that again, please?
Yeah, like among the trends that you mentioned earlier, which among them do you think is here to stay in the next normal, and what can brands do to adjust their marketing or operational strategies, moving forward?
Yeah. So for pure e-commerce players, we see a lot of them struggling with how to set targets and actually use Facebook, Instagram, Google ads in an efficient way. And you should always start with your own margins and business. So you really connect sales margins with how you run marketing and have that set up in a way where you actually know that you can build this in a profitable way long term. Is something that always just need to be in place. That connected to the trend I saw, for example, people that start off a company, start selling on Amazon or any of the big marketplaces, and then you realize maybe 1 or 2 years in that, hey, I'm really not, I need to buy back up my customers all the time. That is definitely going to be here to stay. And you need to have, I always say, you always need to have at least 3 sales channels that are working. So if you have an e-commerce and if you run Amazon, you need to have at least email, Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram, all of them in parallel. So 3 to 4 that actually run a profitable way for you. That is very important. And just sell with one will put you in a really dangerous space, because we will see in the future that cost per click will be more expensive because it will be more companies that do marketing online. So you need to be smarter, because the cost per click will never be as low as it is today. And that's why that is key. So those are the key things I see that are definitely here to stay.
Thank you. Charles?
One of the things that we have seen is that especially in our country, people are starting to spend a lot of time online. So the biggest question becomes, when companies start to look at their strategy, does it really start to talk to the new normal? We are not, and I agree with Jonas, we are not going back to how things were anytime soon. Therefore, we need to start adjusting our company strategies, our digital strategies. And it's not just about social media, it's bigger than that. So we can't just put that responsibility to someone who was posting on Facebook and Instagram and say, hey, by the way, you are now head of digital marketing. It's not going to work that way. We need a strategy that start to talk to our customers, and we need to redefine them and say, hey, where are they? How do they transact? How can we get in touch with them? And secondly, we need to build a community of people who are providing services like ours in order for us to collaborate, in order for us to create a co-petition whereby we can co-create together with other businesses and start to say, how do we go to market together? How do we start to package together? So when a customer touches your product, they automatically get my service, or they automatically get my product. So it's high time that we strengthen, also we invest in skills, upskilling our team to be able to work online. So it's not just about tracking them and checking where they are at any given time, but it's about, can we produce and can we become more and more profitable, knowing what we know about the new normal. We are going to see an increase of people working online, Zoom, Teams, and all the other ones that are available in the market. We will continue seeing that. We'll see new entrants. We'll see upgrades of other social media becoming also meeting places. So we need to be more and more involved and research more to become more relevant.
Thank you. Do you share the same thoughts, Alicia?
Yeah, kind of. But to be honest, my opinions about this are more edgy. Because I feel that the new normal, whatever it's going to be, I feel like the era of constant growth and buying more and having more and stuff like this, it's coming to an end slowly. And I do feel that the consumption will be smaller in developed countries. I feel like people will focus more on themselves and on things that actually matter instead of just buying more and more and more. So I do believe, and I hope that the consumptionism will slowly disappear in our societies. So that's that's as I said, a bit more edgy, but that's the direction I think I see. Also with the climate changes and ecologic being more important in our lives every day, like in Europe, in Canada, like all the heat waves, all the changes that have been going on. I feel like it's time for people to actually pay attention to that, to focus on what's actually needed. Also, the pandemic showed us that many people wanted to go buy houses and the countryside, to be more in nature, to connect more with the nature. So I also feel like, and I hope for that the connection with nature and being more in the present and with what's actually happening is going to be more important for us as humans than consumerism.
Yeah, so true. I agree to that. Actually, like in the region, we also see travelers doing their trips, to domestic destinations because of, they want to preserve their sanity. And I can see why, your comments or your insights are indeed very edgy, but very interesting. Now, let's talk about technology. User experience and expectations about technology changed a lot in 2020. But the question is that, what does it mean for the industry in the long term? Do you think technology would shape the future of the industry? I'm opening the virtual stage for answers.
Okay, so I can start. I think like technology has become a vital part of our lives, and it's not going anywhere. Even with the very like edgy eco villages and places that are supposedly like permaculture, self-sufficient and stuff like this, people still use technology as a very important part of their work in their lives, to connect with other people, to learn about stuff, to educate themselves, and to sell their products as well. So I think like technology is going to be even more, if that's possible, a part of our lives, and it's not going anywhere unless there's like a huge earthquake and we lose internet connection.
Knock on wood. Jonas?
Oh, yeah, I agree. Of course, well, that's our, that's the core of our business idea, that technology will beat the human brain. And that was something that Daniel and Morten, when they founded Keywordio 8 years ago, they worked at Google, and they still saw that even within Google, there's a lot of things that is not run efficiently enough. And that's why they quit and started to solve part of that problem for a niche market within e-commerce on their own, right? So that's something that we betted on big for 8 years ago, and today I think that is just getting more important. And what I think is fun with this is that I see a lot of interesting space that, for example, I'm so happy that I took a master degree in applied mathematics, or what you would call AI and machine learning. But honestly, for tomorrow, there's going to be so much just open platforms where you can actually use AI and machine learning algorithms without you don't need to have a PhD in how to build a neural network. You can actually just find ways to use it. So there's a lot of great content from TensorFlow and other different open source platforms where you can just focus on, you can be really good on the application or the problem that you try to solve, and then take help from some of the most advanced algorithms that you have in the world today. So I think that is really cool, and that is opening up more. So no code and more open platforms will give more creativity and a lot of more business opportunities for the future. So that's something I'm really happy to see.
Thank you. Charles, the floor is yours.
I think we are going to see more mega platforms. We're going to start to see more dependencies in terms of other platforms connecting together. And the biggest thing is going to continue to become a human experience. So technology does not replace humans. It does not really replace the human touch. However, the experience that we need to be investing in right now should be to bring a person closer to real time, to real life, even though he's online. More like starting to have VR experiences whereby people can actually visit a certain country while they're sitting in their bedroom or their sitting room, and being able to connect and feel those emotions and be able to be in the space. So technology will continue influencing. We will see more and more jobs being created in the technology space, but we will also see a lot of smaller businesses being able to operate online. Some restaurants will not have a sit-in and will have a lot more of takeaways where you can order and drive by and pick up and go. I see technology continuing to strengthen our environment and changing how we continue to live as we go forward.
Thank you. Now, for the next question, I'd like us to discuss sustainability, which has been a hot topic even before the pandemic. According to experts, post-pandemic, consumers are expected to support companies that are sustainable, be it environmental, social, and so on. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, as I mentioned, I think it is crucial for us, and this trend is only going to be growing, especially because now we can slowly see the climate changes ourselves. Like 5 years ago, scientists and ecologists were shouting about it, but no one really cared. But now, like that, we kind of start seeing the results and seeing the changes. I think both the consumers and the companies will be more likely to take that into consideration. And yeah, I do think it's crucial. I do think that's important. And you know, it's obviously going to be more expensive. It's obviously going to be and especially with the income of people like getting smaller really through COVID in most of the countries on the planet, it's going to be a challenge. But I feel like that's the direction that we have to go in, and there's like really no turning back on that.
Do you think the companies need to, you know, create their own sustainability programs to stay relevant moving forward?
I'm not sure if the whole sustainability programs are needed. I do believe in buying local. I do believe in supporting smaller brands. And I really hope for this trend to grow. So basically not buying lettuce from a country on the other side of the planet, but buying, you know, locally produced one, and eating also according to the nature and to the, you know, for fall you eat different things, and for spring like seasonal eating, and also like clothing to buy the local ones instead of you know, fabricated in China but produced in US and designed in US and bought in Europe. Like and these are the good parts of the globalism that we have. But I feel like if we want to be sustainable, we should also focus on local brands, and local brands are sustainable because they're local. So they don't need extra huge sustainability programs because they're sustainable because they're there already.
Thanks, Alicia. Jonas, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not only important, but it's like vital. And of course, I'm really proud to see Greta Thunberg from Sweden getting a lot of space in the global talk about the importance of everyone being more present or present or aware of how you can actually be a part of solving this, because it's not going to be one solution. It's something that we need to do everyone together. But if I just look at like, yeah, of course we are specialized in e-commerce, so I typically tend to go back to e-commerce. I think one thing, the strongest way to get the person to take an action is to actually set a default option that is the best option for the environment. And if you look at, for example, shipping, which is a big part for every e-commerce part. So in Sweden now, we have a lot of different shipping options most of the time. You maybe have 5 different options if you buy something online. What we have seen now is that many companies start to add on the climate on the different options. So you can actually see the CO2 emission for each option, for example, or you can see if it's climate compensated or if it's environmental friendly. So just giving the consumer more power to actually act on this. And with the default option, of course, the default option should not be the option where they make the most money. It should be the option which is the best for the environment, for example. So you know, those kind of things is definitely what I see is moving in the right direction within e-commerce and within like transport and the logistic part.
Thanks, Jonas. Charles, how do you think it's going to be for travel?
Look, I think the biggest thing for me has always been, how do we start to move out of the big cities and going closer to the community, where we can start to support social enterprise and start to support how we can protect the environment. So in our country, for example, we have major big cities where people come from different communities. I think we need to start aiming, working together from the high-end businesses into smaller businesses in communities to encourage more sustainability there and encourage more programs that can really protect the environmental side. At the same time, create more jobs there, because we are starting to become more and more small community, which means that we need to have people being able to understand their areas, where they come from, how they can sustain, how they can build, understanding the climate change in their area as well, so that we don't have to have a situation where we have more people in one area when we can actually provide sustainability in multiple areas. So we're seeing more and more green, especially in South Africa, the green sustainability, whereby there's more and more hotels that are going eco, and that is great, because that's how we can start showing promotion and protecting our environment.
Okay, thanks, Charles. Now, before I proceed to the last question, let's talk a little bit about marketing. Jonas mentioned earlier that cost per click will go up, and then it will make it difficult to manage both the cost per acquisition and ROI. So how should marketers adjust their marketing budget? What should be the basis, and what are the fair key performance indicators moving forward?
I think I'll go on first on this one. So we had to readjust our budgets, especially last year. When we started, we had high budget on traditional marketing, which basically focused on how do we go to market using billboards, radios, television? How do we ensure we are in the eyes and ears of people? And our research during the pandemic proved to us that a lot of our travelers and a lot of our the business owners that we're trying to target, they are actually online. It seems to us that social media is quick in sharing of information and stories than waiting for 7 o'clock news or waiting for the news in an hour's time. If something happens in one town or one city, immediately people get to know. And we then had to adjust our financials from moving from some sort of traditional marketing into the digital marketing space. We are going to be launching a product in the next month where we'll be able to connect with most of our communities online. We have been working on B2B and B2C at the same time, but we have reinvested from the normal traditional marketing into the digital space. And we're putting more and more budget into search engine optimization. We're putting more money into social engagement and social media. And we're also running some training and some trainings for communities for free to empower them, especially when it comes to digital marketing and use of technologies and how they can actually become searchable and exposed online. So we do those free workshops online. And we also do our own capacity building with some of government institutions and some of the businesses that we believe they can benefit from the work that we're doing. So we've really adjusted from moving away from investing money into the traditional way of doing marketing. And we have even reorganized our business now with new young people who came in to understand the young market that we are playing in. So we also moved away from the mindset of, hey, we know this, to maybe we don't, and let's get young people. We have now partnered with the university where we believe those students as well will start to add value. So we want to become more of a research hub that will help us to be able to drive traffic from multiple social media platforms and multiple ads that we're pushing out back into our platform that we are busy building.
Thank you. Jonas?
Yeah, and I like the mindset that you mentioned, Charles, about being, always spend time with the younger people that have the new mindset. I think that's really healthy for anyone, and that is something I hope I will do forever. Right? It's I think that brings in a lot of energy and a lot of new ideas, and always daring to challenge the what you have done, or actually what you just did last week, right? But in terms of the cost per click that is going up, one thing that we see is that when the new mega platforms are launched and they grow super fast. So for example, right now, the fastest growing in many of the markets is TikTok at the moment. It is always like this, that when you go to market with some kind of bidding platform for selling ads, which TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, they are, the cost per click is always really low in the beginning. And then when they start to get the algorithms working, so it actually brings in revenue for the big companies, then they get crowded, more people get in, and then the cost per click goes up. So also being fast on understanding when you should try these new ones, if you feel that your custom audience is there, for example. But the second thing is to actually be really detailed, and that is about how to set target based on what you're selling and what you how to set real targets for each channels. And I don't have time to go through all the details now, but if you're interested, we have a free online course for this on our homepage. So just keywordio.com, and you could go into our event page. There you have a free online course that is just focusing on how to set these targets based on gross margin, cost of delivery. And of course, you can use this for even selling services as well, just manipulating the formulas a bit. So connecting sales with marketing and make sure that you start there. It's really important. And wait with channels. Like when I do speeches at Google, I meet a lot of people that ask, okay, should we do YouTube or should we try this? Like many times I give the advice to start close to when your customers are about to do a purchase. And that is typically, if you're on e-commerce, Google Shopping, remarketing on Instagram and Facebook, because those are people that are close to make a purchase. So you can start there and then build your funnel up to actually get more of your customer base. So that's the recommendation that I typically start to give.
Thank you. Now for my last question, let's give some key takeaways for our audience. What's your best advice for brands to maintain their digital leadership moving forward? Just give a short one-liner. Let's start with Alicia.
I haven't replied to the previous question, so I'm just going to do two sentences here. No, it's okay. So I do believe that right now you either are a startup with a multi-million budget for marketing, and that's the way to go and to promote yourself, or you're a local company. Like obviously there's stuff in the middle, but I would say main strategies, and then going on TikTok, going on social media and being real, authentic, doing stuff your own way, not copying what everyone else on the market is doing is a way to go. I've worked in marketing for over 10 years and I don't believe in outbound anymore for small companies. I don't think that's the direction to go for most of them. So I would just say focus on yourself, focus on your actual strengths and do social media, do content about it. And that's the way to make it work from my experience.
Thanks, Alicia. Charles?
I think for me, the question becomes in the ears of the leaders out there, is your vision and the mission of your business still relevant in the new normal? And how do we start to adjust that and bring in simplified language that starts to talk to the heart? Maybe we need to move into talking more to how people feel. Maybe we need to start touching people's emotions when it comes to technology, when it comes to the product. So it's not just a theory, it's not just an academic thing, but it's more about let's touch each other. And therefore, our strategy needs to start to adjust into bringing humans and making technology to become simple, to make technology to become friendly. People don't have time online. They want to touch, easy go, easy transact, and that's it. So we need to simplify things.
Thanks, Charles. Jonas?
I would say, but make sure that you build based on an authentic story about why you founded the company, and then make sure that you tell that story through really smart and effective algorithms on the platforms. That's the way we think. And of course, if you can get a lot of free traffic because you have a lot of followers, or that you manage to build a niche that a lot of people search for on Google, then that is great. But combine the true story and make sure that you use smart algorithms to distribute them to your customers.
Thank you. And that wraps up this session. Jonas, Charles, and Alicia, thanks again so much for sitting and chatting with me today. And thanks to our audience for tuning in and being part of the Global Digital Marketing Summit community. Bye, everyone, and have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Charles, Alicia, and Jonas.